And we welcome you into the Pioneer Basketball Show with J.T. Burton. The Tusculum Pioneers embarked on a pretty good and a pretty impressive road trip this past week to Wingate, North Carolina. But also had two impressive games at home against Carson Newman and Newberry. Brian Staten, joined by Pioneer coach J.T. Burton. You knew it was going to be a big week. You right into this week with some momentum. Started a three-game homestand, and you got the first two games of that homestand. Then you had Carson Newman, which we're going to get to here in just a moment. But let's start middle of the week, because it was the only road trip during this stretch here. You go to Wingate, and it's a place we haven't won since 2011 historically as a program. Obviously a different team that was going down there to take on one of the best shooters in the South Atlantic Conference. Always a strong defensive team in Wingate. And it took us a little while. We survived a couple of punches in the mouth, and Don Donaldson showed why he's probably one of the elite players in this league, and you come away with an overtime win.
Yeah, we did a really good job of going to Don late. I mean, Don wanted the ball late, and we made plays coming down the stretch, and that's what it took. I mean, Don took the ball to the hole, gave it to Brandon, who didn't play the first half, Brandon Mitchell. He finishes with a dunk, and then we was able to come away with the win in overtime.
You hit big plays. You know, I mean, they had some big plays, but you were able to, for the second consecutive game, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, in Haskins, who's shooting 50.4% from three-point territory, really limit his looks. And it's not like you're manning up on him, but you just did a really good job of being aware where he was on the floor.
Yeah, we wanted him to be a volume shooter because we knew he was going to get his points. I mean, I think he was 6 for 20 from the floor, and that's kind of what we wanted because every shot he took, we wanted to be a contested 2 or 3. And I thought we did a really good job of doing that.
You know, late in the game, the last 2 minutes, there was the panic button by Wingate, but boy, they responded. Offensive rebounds, putbacks. Didn't see Quantre Taylor a whole lot in that contest until the last 2.5 minutes of regulation. They were able to take the lead late there, but there was just some want to, I think, by them as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they did a really good job. We went small in our zone, and they made us pay for it, especially on the offensive rebound part of it. And that's a chance we had to take because of some of the, with our guards, you go 4 guards, and we just have to tell them they got to rebound. But a big kid like Taylor, that kid just took it over, and he got every rebound that was coming out, especially offensive.
And Marius Logan hits a big three-pointer there late in that contest. And then at the end of regulation, I just thought it was interesting. Brandon Mitchell, who did not play in the first half, was a bit ill. Comes up to you real quietly in a soft-spoken voice and says, "Coach, I'm ready to go. Give me the ball." But last play, Don had the ball in his hands and makes the play to Brandon.
Yes, he did. I mean, Don asked for the ball, but that still shows the maturation of Don's game because he took the ball to the rim, drove it, drew the defender who was guarding Brandon Mitchell and gave him the ball. But Brandon also did a huge thing that goes unknown. I mean, he missed. He got to the free throw line. He missed one, and then he steps up and makes another one that I think to tie the game up, and that was huge.
Especially in the overtime. He goes to the free throw line and does those types of things as well, where he hits, I think, the first 4 in the overtime period from the free throw line. Donovan Donaldson with the big clutch jumper to make it a 3-point game. And the Pioneers were able to get the first win in Wingate, North Carolina, behind 32 points from Don Donaldson for the first time since that 2011. A Wingate team that has been dominant, 14 of the last 15 against the Pioneers. I could go back to the history of last year of it being an 18-point lead at home that we lost. And then Donaldson, I don't know if there was anything to it. He had the ball in his hands last year, down 73-72. The whistle didn't blow on a play. He thought he may have been fouled, and upon further review, definitely he was. Didn't allow that to happen this year. His 32 was phenomenal, and just how good is that kid playing right now?
He's playing unbelievable. His number speaks for itself, but the biggest thing is the question that I always ask him, what are you doing besides scoring to impact the game? And the 50-50 balls, the deflections, and the steals, and the rebounds. He had 17 in one game. So when he's doing that to add to his scoring, we become another team.
Pioneers knock off Wingate in overtime, 80-77. But let's go back now to talk about why Don is the complete player right now. Let's start with the Carson Newman showdown. Historically, no, it's not a rivalry unless you look at it as Division II opponents, and then it's a really tight rivalry, to be honest with you. You're into it. This was your first opportunity to kind of get into this whole Carson Newman thing, and I think you brought the excitement to Pioneer Arena.
Yeah, we tried to. I mean, I told you guys, I mean, it dates back way before we even was in existence, and I know they lead this overall series, but I think in the conference, I think it's been close, you know,
Yeah.
as far as conference play. And I wanted to bring that back because those seniors, these guys that's been here for, you know, 4 or 5 years, they deserve that. And I try to bring back the rivalry and mix it up a little bit. And we was fortunate enough to come away with the win.
No question about that. Let's take a look at the highlights. Tusculum and Carson Newman, and in this game, I thought that, you know, we'd have a whole lot of offense, and it started out kind of that way right from the get-go. Teichman hits a big one, and then you're going to see a lot of three-pointers knocked down by Malik Abraham, who I think that was the one kid, him and Rogers, that you had to worry about. You didn't want them to get theirs, and I think they did a good job early in this contest.
Abraham did a really good job. They really did a really good job getting him going. But as you see, Dylan Smith got going early. You see Trent Gibson, he done a really good job of going. But Abraham, you see, he got warm the first half, and he's a really, really good standstill shooter.
5 3-pointers in that first half for this for the Carson Newman Eagles for Malik Abraham. But, you know, it was a good start from this first quarter, and you've seen this a lot. I don't know if the zone just wears on teams. Carson Newman plays the exact same zone. How are you able to attack it differently from how they attacked your zone?
Well, what we try to do is try to penetrate the gaps. I mean, I know that's one of the big things is, you know, swing the ball, don't settle for just threes, and always looking for the woman. As you see, we went one more right there and get Don Donaldson to standstill three. The way he's been shooting the ball over 50%, he's going to make that shot.
13 assists in the game for the Pioneers on 21 made field goals. And Tariq Jenkins, who doesn't normally hit that three-pointer right there, he's the guy that he doesn't need anybody to give him the ball. He's the guy that can take the ball to the rim. And usually when you see a field goal that's made that he's without an assist, it's because of him. Cam, I felt like Cam was big. Cam King, Brandon Mitchell in the game because of their presence in the paint. Obviously, the big flush putback right there after Tariq Jenkins was driving in kind of gave this team some momentum after they trailed. Then Abraham hits another big three-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, Abraham was huge for him, especially in the first half. But we stayed the course. You know, you see Dylan Smith passing it back to a freshman here. And he knocks down the three. And when you're doing that, you got to go tip to tap. But again, you see Abraham contested three bank from the top of the key. So that's tough. But we did a really good job. Don comes off the dribble, makes a three, comes right back. So we went back and forth there for a while.
A Pioneer team that in that first half shoots 11 for 27, 41%. And a lot of teams I think would take that. Limited the turnovers in a big way. Carson Newman in the first half hit 12 of 27, 44%. They hit 8 three-pointers. Tusculum hit 6 three-pointers in that first half. Thought that was very interesting as well. Second half was kind of a tale of 2 different halves. Donaldson, number 1, has just been otherworldly. And you get that 4-point play, and those points scored. Then there was like 0 points scored for about the next 3 or 4 minutes by both sides.
We've been known to do that, man. We go on these lows of just not scoring the ball. But I mean, one thing we do, as you see Don hitting the wing 3, we do a really good job of defending as well. So when we don't score, they don't score, or they don't score as many points. So it helps us.
Donaldson goes 4 of 7 from 3. Again, this game was on that Wednesday prior to the Wingate game, so he ascended to that 50% three-point shooter and went 5 of 12 from the field. He missed some of the easy pull-up jumpers that he has been making. A very tight game through the early part of this second half, and it seems as if Dylan Smith has been doing this a lot more. You've got that tight game. His jump shot kind of creates the separation that we need, and then we were able to go on some runs. This was another one of those runs, an 11-1 run to build some breathing room for us.
He's done a really good job, but like I said, getting in the gym and working on his shot, and the guys are really confident in him. And Dylan, he makes his numbers. He may go 4 for 10, but he makes big shots at big times.
We'll see that in the Newberry contest, making some really big shots. You're building this 10-point lead against this zone. You're passing it well. You're doing some good things, and you're hitting just some open shots. You don't see Trent take that three-pointer a lot. He likes to create. I think what's the best attribute for Trent is that he gets into the paint. He's able to finish there, but he hit that outside shot. You limit Carson Newman to just 1 of 11 from three-point territory in that second half. Abraham just could not find it after hitting 5 in the first half. The 49 points in the game is the lowest that Carson Newman has had since 1948 in the series with Tusculum. I know that your defense has a lot to do with that. How satisfying, how gratifying was the win?
It was unbelievable, especially the second half, how we stepped up and guarded. I mean, we got in Abraham's face because, as I told you, in this league, I mean, one thing I found out in D2 period, especially this league, guys can make open shots, and they can take and make open shots. So one thing we've been trying to do and put a big emphasis on, especially late in the second half in that game, is get to shooters and make them take tough threes and twos.
Did well on the glass, 42-32, 10-6 in the offensive rebounds. And Donovan Donaldson, 17 points, 17 rebounds. Haven't had a double-double like that in about 10 years around here for the Pioneers. And that's what you were talking about earlier with Don. It's the fact that, yeah, he's scoring, but he's also creating opportunities.
Yes, and we've always challenged. I challenge him every game, every play, every practice about what you're doing to impact the game besides scoring. In that game, he just decided that I'm going to go get rebounds, and it doesn't matter. I mean, he even had my family questioning what position does he play. But the way our zone is set up, he's supposed to rebound, and he's done a really good job of doing that.
It's kind of the back end of that zone, and he did a great job on the Carson Newman misses. And for Carson Newman, they kind of have fallen off just a little bit. Now they fall to 9-7, now just 2-7 in the league after that Wednesday game of last week. And for the Pioneers, it was their third consecutive win, and it was the last of the three-game homestand before they went on the road to take on Wingate and get the win at the Cuddy for the first time since 2011 in the overtime game. And the last time they'd won there was a 2-overtime contest. You return home, second game in 3 days. You're going to take on the Newberry Wolves. You know, I could sit here and say fatigue's got to be a factor, and I do believe in that. Newberry didn't go home. They stayed around. You had the long overtime road trip back from Charlotte. I'm sure that the guys got in a little bit late. It's not like you worked them out real hard. What was Monday like, knowing that you're playing a 4 o'clock game instead of your usual 8 o'clock game where you probably could have gotten a better walkthrough? It's probably been a whirlwind of effect before the Newberry game.
Well, one thing we try to do is try to keep it as normal as possible. Good thing about it, we didn't have school, so those guys could stay in and rest a little bit. But we got them up. We did some walkthrough. We talked, watched a lot of film, got a lot of shots up. And to try to prepare these guys to get them to understand what this team is. You can't look at their record because that team right there, that staff does an unbelievable job of getting those kids to buy into the system and playing hard. And you really can't watch the film to prepare for it. And it showed last night, especially in the first half.
Definitely cannot simulate what Dave Davis brings to the table. There's no question about it. Let's watch the highlights. Tusculum versus Newberry, a Pioneer team that comes in winners of 4 consecutive. Here's a Newberry team that watched Carson Newman score 59 points in the half, and Tusculum held them to just 49 for the game. But Newberry put up 64 in the second half, made it interesting. You had to come out and you had to be very sharp early, and we just weren't, even though we had the lead. We weren't very sharp very early because Newberry, as we're going to see, goes on the run.
Again, it's a testament to Newberry and their staff because they did a really good job of making, especially Don. We drove to the basket. I mean, some of the shots he normally makes, I mean, you see that he's making those shots going and closing out the half, but the shots that he normally makes, he wasn't making at the beginning of this game, and that's what made it tough. 13-point
lead for Newberry. It's what they had built. Let's go back to the first half. Were we playing outside of ourselves? Were we playing where we were, but we just weren't patient enough?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would say that. We just didn't make shots, and that was because of them. Because they made it tough on us, but we settled in, made an adjustment at halftime, and we started making some big shots.
Dylan Smith, big shot maker, really.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just be honest. He has been a big shot maker. He tied the game. Donovan Donaldson gives them the lead. We forced them into some overtime. I mean, you're seeing a lot of really quick highlights here, but what we're missing out on is just the fact that we've just been very patient. We've taken what has been given to us instead of forcing some of the issue. Tariq Jenkins was phenomenal in the game.
Yeah, he was unbelievable, and I told him, especially the second half, I said, look, you got to drive, go downhill. I mean, the way they're playing you, the way they're playing us on and off the ball, this is your type game. And he done a really good job. He got to the line 17 times yesterday, so that was huge for us.
A Pioneer team that you don't normally see this type of pressure from any team. I think it took us, again, you can't simulate it. You can't even walk through it. You can't even be bothered with that. Contested every shot that we took, and I think that had some issues. Brandon Mitchell, again, we had a Brandon Mitchell sighting late in the contest. Again, you were as fired up as could be at halftime. You come out in the second half. I'm not even going to say we were great to start the second half either, but I think the team just kind of settled in. Lang and Gibson for them were phenomenal. And I don't know if you got into their legs a little bit, but I think a little bit late you had to have gotten into their legs.
Yeah, we did. I mean, that was one of the things, and I told them, I mean, these guys are beginning to run the huddle, and it's a beautiful thing to see, especially going down the stretch of the game, because they started yelling 6 a.m. I mean, I know we talk about it a lot, but it means a lot just mentally. And those guys, you know, and as much as work they put in, it's starting to pay off, and they've seen it.
Dylan Smith, big shots. Brandon Mitchell, big shots. Tariq Jenkins had big shots as well at the free throw line, making those 17 free throws. A Pioneer team are attempting 17 free throws in the game, going and making 12 of them. But he had 22 for the contest, a new career best. The Pioneers have now won 5 consecutive basketball games and now embark on another very big week this week as they take on Lincoln Memorial and the Catawba Indians, who coach has said might just be the best team in this South Atlantic Conference. And if you watched them play Queens, you probably have to agree. We'll talk about those two teams and a big award that has been well-deserved and a long time coming here at Tusculum when we return right after this. This is the Pioneer Basketball Show with Pioneer coach JT Burton.
Jason was an ordinary man with an insatiable appetite until he got a call that changed everything.
Applebee's all-you-can-eat is back with shrimp.
This January, get ready to order. Starring riblets, tenders, and introducing shrimp.
So we welcome you back into the Pioneer Basketball Show with Pioneer coach JT Burton. Pioneer big week. Obviously, they have won 5 consecutive. It's the second longest winning streak in the South Atlantic Conference, behind only that of Queens, who has now won 12 consecutive basketball games. Big week for this reason. LMU, they're the defending conference champ. It doesn't matter what their personnel may be. That's what they say. We're talking about the name on the jersey right now. And for some reason, they have the Pioneers' number and historically have that number. We're talking about loss after loss after loss. And then Catawba that will come in. We've seen what type of a player Mr. Haskins can be. They are a great three-point shooter. They're just a great athletic team led by their senior in Taylor. So that'll be the home game. The road game is LMU, and what has to be the body language? And I believe LMU will believe it's a challenge. Look, here comes Tusculum. They've won 5 straight, but not in our house. So how do you have to respond with your body language going into that game?
Well, when we go in there, we got to go in there. We can't worry about what happened in the past. You got to look straight ahead in the future, because you toss the ball up, you never know what's going to happen. But I'm just saying, that's a tough team. They're really good. They got all tradition. Yeah. Like you said, they've had our number for a number of years. But, you know, the good thing about it is going through this season so far, these guys don't even realize it, you know, and they don't, especially the new guys, they don't even think about it. I only think the guys that's been here for years even talked about it because they never won. So with that being said, our body language has got to go in. We got to have a little swagger. I mean, but these guys, we're on a 5-game win streak. So with that being said, it's no more Tusculum, maybe. No, I mean, you got to bring it because everybody knows who you are now, so you got to be able to go.
And this day and age with game tape, yeah, everybody knows right now. To be honest with you, the Carson rivalry is huge, but the LMU team is the team you played the most games against historically. So this is the most played rival that the Pioneers have ever played. Then you got Catawba that's coming in. We've seen them already, and I think it was the Pioneers coming out. I wasn't sold on how the Pioneers were going to be until I went to Salisbury, and I realized, you know, it took some heart, it took some grit, it took some determination. And we did it without Don. And that was one of those games that I said, if you're not in the program and not on the program, then you're out of the program. And I think that was a turning point for this Pioneer team.
Yeah, it was a good road trip for us, because you come in, you're looking for the size. I mean, it's another team you really can't judge them by the film. That team is good. They're really good. They got size. They got the guards. They got the bigs. Got the wings. They got it all. Yeah. And you got Haskins coming off the bench. I mean, he's another one of those kids that got going in the first half. Yeah. But the second half, we did a really good job of getting to him. But we done some really good things in that game, and we're finishing up, going through, playing everybody once in the league. So coming back for that second time, you never know what happens.
For the first time since a guy named Kyle Moore had been here. That's a flash in the past, name in the past. As a matter of fact, when I saw him just a couple of years ago at the Hall of Fame, he had a beard, which I never thought he would ever be able to grow. He was the last South Atlantic Conference Tusculum Basketball Player of the Week. Donovan Donaldson has achieved that this week as she finishes with obviously the career best at Wingate with 32 points, but the 17-point, 17-rebound game against Carson Newman kind of set him over the top. He did have the 21 against Newberry, which didn't count towards this vote, so he's already off to a great week this week with the 21 against Newberry. But Donaldson proves that, you know, here's a guy that when he's challenged, I think can turn the corner. He's been the best talent in a way in my eyes over the last couple of years for this team. And I think you're getting the best out of him right now.
Yeah, we try to challenge him. I try to challenge him every day, every single day, because you have to. And first of all, Don has got to trust you as well, trust me and the staff. And he's done that. We've earned his trust, we've gained his trust. But then, you know, I stay on him. And we have to, because if we don't, then this kid may go back. But with that being said, he showed that he's bought in. I mean, like I said last night, he's done a really good job, especially late wanting the basketball. And even the last two games that you talk about, he was really good. He was really good. He was wanting the ball, making shots, and he was doing other things to impact the game.
Yeah, the last 3 games now, he's just under 22 points, or just over 22 points a game over the last 3. He scored 1,000 points for his entire collegiate career, and really during this week, he may get to 1,000 points in Tusculum history in just 2 years. That's pushing it, but you know, if he continues the pace, he'll definitely get there. Don Donaldson becomes the first player, Tusculum basketball player, since 2010 to win the South Atlantic Conference Basketball Player of the Week. Congratulations to him. Big week for you guys. We'll see you down the road. Tusculum at Harrogate taking on LMU. We'll kip it off at 8 o'clock. Listen on the Pioneer Sports Network on the radio side. LMU does a great job with their TV coverage as well. You can also watch that if you want to. Rusty does a pretty decent job. He's a pretty fair announcer as well, so you'll like listening to him also. Then on Saturday, we're back on the Pioneer Sports Network through the YouTube channel Tusculum versus Catawba, and again, our 4 o'clock tip-off time. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes here at the Pioneer Sports Network, Nick Forsberg, John Donnelly, and Jim Miller, and all the guys at the table, all the hustle they had this week. It's a good week at the table for this Pioneer basketball program. He's Pioneer coach JT Burton. I'm Brian Staten, and until next week, go Pioneers.